Hello and welcome to the Business Standard Morning Show. I'm Nazia Iqbal. It's the 14th of August 2023 and here are the questions we will be answering today. Will the rebranding help Air India fly higher? Why is India's tendering process broken? What will guide markets this week? And what is deflation? After welcoming Air India flyers for over 77 years, the iconic Maharaja with the handlebar moustache is set to take a back seat. The airline, which recently landed in Tata Group's hangar, is in the process of a complete makeover. Last week, the aviation giant unveiled a new brand identity and new aircraft livery. So, what does this rebranding mean for Air India's ambitious journey ahead? Will it help the airline? Abhijit Kumar has the answer. India's second largest airline, Air India, now dons a new look with a new livery and design features. It has a new logo called the Vista, which the company says is symbolic of windows of possibilities. The existing Air India logo that features a flying swan, a centaur, and rising sun will be done away with. But its 77-year-old mascot, the Maharaja, will not retire just yet. A contemporary livery with a specific paint scheme depicts the airline's departure from its historical design. The new design also incorporates the violet color of Vistara, which is in the process of merging into Air India. Travelers will begin to see the new logo and design from December 2023. Let's understand from former Air India executive Jitendra Bhargav what this rebranding means for Air India's expansion ambition.
Tata's needed to rebrand Air India. Having been in the government ownership, the public perception had waned because it wasn't being expanded, the upkeep of the aircraft was not up to the mark, and on every count, the airline was faltering. So if you had to make a public statement of change, no better way than to go for a corporate identity change. People look at the aircraft livery from outside, what's inside. And of course, people can always question that is it at a proper time that Tatas have gone ahead and done it? Why couldn't they wait for the product to be top class? Like the CEO, Campbell Wilson, said, it'll take them about 18 months before all the aircraft are upgraded to a quality that will be truly world class. But a public statement was imperative.
While the external changes are prominent, the rebranding goes beyond the aesthetics. Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran had acknowledged that the airline fleet requires substantial work. And with the purchase of nearly 470 new aircraft in a $70 billion deal with Boeing and Airbus, the airline has set its sights on a complete transformation of its fleet. But will this rebranding exercise help improve the fleet's service quality as well?
The most important thing is to rejig your basic offering. Focus on the on-ground, in-air delivery, which hopefully will become a talking point for Air India customers. Images live in people's minds, but practical experience is something that lives every single day within the lives of passengers.
People who have shunned the airline because of the bad experience that they may have had, now how do you get them? So there is some kind of a message sent out through the identity change that look, changes are taking place. It may take a few more months, a year or two, but we will be on track to be attaining our objective of making Air India a world-class airline.
With anticipation surrounding the retention of the airline's 1946 Maharaja symbol, the Tata Group-owned aviation giant has clarified that the mascot will now play a more background role. But why was the Maharaja logo being sidelined?
When Maharaja was conceived and started using, India was known as a place for palaces, the Rajas, the Maharajas. And Maharaja denoted the high kind of hospitality. Now things have changed. in India, we have more sentimental attachment to Maharaja than globally, considering that what Air India is planning to do in the next few years is to go to destinations where Air India hasn't flown. And possibly Maharaja did not even figure in anybody's mind in those places.
With the Maharaja logo now being sidelined, it appears to be a strategic shift of the company that embraces change while respecting tradition. Air India's rebranding push is a bold step towards aligning its image with its aspirations. Experts believe while the new look symbolizes a fresh beginning for the aviation major, the underlying commitment to enhanced service quality and passenger experience will drive this transformation. Air India's makeover may help it soar higher. But a recent government report revealed that a host of big infrastructure projects are yet to take off. Some of them are delayed by more than a decade. In our next segment, Tariq Ahmed speaks to experts to find out the reason for this delay and if there is some problem with India's tendering process. Let's listen in. In this year's union budget, the government hiked capex outlay for 2023-24 by 33% to 10 trillion rupees. This increase in budget allocation for infrastructure development clearly reflects India's ambition to accelerate its economic activity. But is this government push giving the desired result? Maybe not if we go by a government report. The flash report on central sector projects by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation and Infrastructure and Project Monitoring Division says that several big projects in India, which are pegged at 150 crore rupees or more, have been behind the schedule. The June 2023 report suggests that out of the 1,643 central sector infrastructure projects costing 150 crore rupees or more, 815 are running behind schedule. And of them, 393 projects have overrun the cost too. The report also points out that out of 815 delayed projects, 36% have been delayed for a period of 25 to 16 months. And 17% of the projects have been delayed for more than 16 months. The average delay for these projects is 37.49 months. Projects like building a highway from Indo-Myanmar border to Aizawl as part of the Kaladan multi-modal transit transport project and building a prototype of fast breeder reactor at Bhavini are some of the delayed projects in the list with a delay of more than 12 years. The expected original cost for all the projects was 23.86 trillion rupees, but it has now shot up to 28.51 trillion rupees. So why do projects get delayed?
These days, at least in transportation, they've made it mandatory that unless you have 90% of land acquisition, you cannot start the execution, which is a good strategy. And that is actually bringing the time overruns also under control largely. But the list you're talking about, I'm sure, is a historic list. A lot of these projects 8-10 years old, etc., etc. So first, the way from where I look at it from my perspective, the biggest problem is the acquisition of land for developing the piece of infrastructure. Number one. Number two is your permissions, especially from the ecosystem side of it. Your permissions, and not just permissions, but also getting people to agree. For example, Bandra-Worli Sea Link had to go through a huge problem because the fisher folks said during the course of execution that their livelihoods would be taken away if this bridge is constructed. The new airport of Mumbai is almost 20 years delayed because once again the same reason.
You see, these are not only central projects, but state governments are also involved. And when we envisage a project, normally there is, like, you look at the fast rail project from the bullet train from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. You will see that the land acquisition in Gujarat state has happened, but still the land acquisition in Maharashtra has not happened, due to which not only a delay takes place, but a cost overrun also takes place. Secondly, what happens with the government of India, there are many agencies involved. Sometimes there's NBCC, sometimes there's CPWD or PWD, and the Ministry of Housing, Urban Affairs, and the ministry involved in the project. It may be the road transport ministry, it may be the Ministry of Housing, it may be the Jal Shakti ministry, where we are looking at Jal Shakti Abhiyan projects. So as you see that many agencies are involved, and therefore once a project is awarded to a company like Larsen and Toubro or any company, Shapurji Palunji, the land acquisition takes a lot of time because, for example, you look at the airport coming up in Ulve in Maharashtra, close to Bombay, in Navi Bombay. Now, there are different municipal corporations involved, the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation, the Sitco Municipal Corporation. So you see, because of that, because of many agencies being involved, it takes a lot of time to acquire land.
In an exclusive interview to Business Standard, Larsen and Toubro's outgoing chairman, Anil N. Naik, blamed what he called broken tendering system for the delays. Citing an example, Naik said that big contracts are divided into separate packages and then the contracts are awarded to multiple companies. He claimed that while big firms like L&T finish construction in time, other less experienced players are left behind, and it results in the entire project falling behind. He also claimed that many a time less qualified companies win projects just by quoting the lowest figure, but they fail to complete them in time. But some experts disagree.
QCBS, which means it's a quality cum quantity bid. Obviously, it's a competitive environment. And in this environment, there is this QCBS kind of contracts are existing, which means that you are given marks on your quality also, on your experience as well. So the point that a naive and a absolutely no experienced guy will come and bid you out, etc., rarely happens.
So how can the tender process be fixed?
Are they being monitored for quality checks? Are they being monitored for the time frame that they are supposed to be delivered in? And therefore, it's very important that government has to participate with the contracting agency to make sure that all help is given to them, both locally and from the center. My request to the government of India is that do not look at only L1, look at the capability of a contractor and make sure then the project is executed. Work with the contractor. Government has to handhold me. I am a partner of the government in executing a project for the government, whether state or central. And I think we need to have a system where I cannot go to a court of law and delay the project.
Clearly, better coordination between agencies involved in any project will indeed help. Releasing money on time for the projects, preparing plans with the consultation of other contractors involved are some of the steps that the government can take to make sure that the projects are completed in time. Let's turn our focus to financial markets now. Benchmark indices fell by over 300 points on Friday as investors assessed RBI's hawkish tone on inflation, softer than expected US inflation data, and sizzling crude oil prices. Going forward, as India releases July inflation figure this week, will it spell more trouble for equities or is it already factored in? Lavisha Darat and Rex Cano decode it in the next segment.
Markets witnessed volatile moves last week amid the Reserve Bank of India's policy outcome, soft US inflation figures, and elevated crude prices. In the prior week, the RBI revised retail-based inflation projections for FY24, estimating Q2 at 6.2%, Q3 at 5.7%, and Q4 at 5.2%. The central bank, moreover, added that the projections could be subject to revision if supply disruptions worsened due to adverse weather conditions. Globally, retail inflation in the US rose 3.2% in July from 3% in June. However, core inflation was tame at 0.2% month-on-month. Brent crude and WTI crude prices, meanwhile, remain steady, above $86 per barrel and $82 per barrel, respectively, last week, buoyed by OPEC's positive demand outlook for 2024. Against this backdrop, benchmark indices the S&P, BSE Sensex, and Nifty 50 ended the week with 0.5% and 0.6% losses, respectively, weighed by financial, realty, and FMCG names. Moving forward, this week will be a truncated one, with Tuesday, August 15, a trading holiday on account of India's 77th Independence Day celebrations. A key data point that will guide markets this week are domestic inflation figures for July, due Monday, August 14, after market hours. According to a Reuters poll, India's retail inflation is likely to accelerate to 6.4% in July on rising food prices, reaching the upper end of RBI's 2 to 6% tolerance band for the first time in 5 months. Wholesale price inflation, however, may fall 2.7% year-on-year in July, the survey showed. Analysts believe that sticky inflation trends could cap market upside in the near term.
A headwind for the Indian economy is the sticky inflation. The indication from the latest monetary policy from the MPC is that a rate cut can be expected only in the first quarter of FY25. So this means a runaway rally is unlikely.
Technically, too, analysts expect markets to trade sideways in the near term.
Indications are pointing towards the prevailing tone to continue, considering the weakness in the key indices, especially the banking. And so we expect Nifty to find support 19,300, which was earlier acting also as a support area, and 19,100 zone in case if this profit taking extends. On the higher side, 19,650 to 19,850 would be the area of resistance. So meanwhile, since we are seeing mixed trend across sectors, participants should restrict their trades and align their positions accordingly.
That said, the end of India Inc.'s June earnings season, foreign flow action, and crude oil prices will also keep investors busy this week.
He's making plans for an early retirement. Business Standard.
While Indian markets and economy remained on a firm footing, neighboring China, it seems, is heading for some tough time. In July, China's consumer price index fell by 0.3%, showing that it has slipped in deflation. Most of us have heard the term inflation, but what does deflation mean? Raghav Agarwal explains. Deflation is a phenomenon where price levels of goods and services decline in an economy. This means that the users can buy more with their money as compared to what they could earlier. However, the profits for the businesses may decline as they have to sell their goods and services for a lower price. There can be several reasons for deflation. The first can be a shortfall in the availability of money in the economy. This can be due to tighter monetary norms by the central bank of the country, leading to higher interest rates on debt. Or it can also be due to people spending less on buying. Both of these lead to lower aggregate demand. Customers usually spend less when their income falls or when they want to save more. Increased productivity of the companies can also lead to deflation. When a company produces more of a goods or service, its availability gets easier. The demand for it, on the other hand, does not rise at the same pace. So more sellers want to sell a product to the same number of people. Now, in a competitive market, the sellers have to lower the prices of the goods so that the customer comes to them and not to the other seller. This can lead to a fall in the general level of prices. Deflation usually hits the profit of companies, so they are less likely to expand and hire more people. In the long term, this slows down the economic growth of a country. The workers may be impacted as the companies undertake layoffs to reduce costs and improve margins. The decrease in the prices of assets may also make people want to buy less of them on the expectation of prices going down further. This decreases the demand and pushes the prices further down. Disinflation is a decrease in the rate of inflation, while deflation is a decrease in the general price level. Under disinflation, the general prices are still rising but at a lower rate than earlier. In deflation, however, the prices are falling. This is not the first time that China has reported deflation. It also reported negative inflation earlier in November 2020, January 2021, and February 2021.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.
US President Joe Biden last week called China a ticking time bomb in many cases due to its economic challenges. Well, that's all we have for you today. For more news and analysis, please log on to business-standard.com. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.